Hi, my name is Molly Marko, and I'm going to talk to you guys about establishing rules in your classroom. Now, in the real world, we have rules all around us, on the roads, in our schools, in businesses, but it's no different in the classroom. So what is a rule? Well, in the classroom, it's basically the do's and don'ts of your class. So what the children can do and what they can't do, how they should and shouldn't act. That's kind of it boiled down into a very simple explanation. But they serve a very, very big purpose in your class. So why should you have rules in your classroom? The first is it gives your classroom structure. Robert Boostrom in 1991, in an article I read by him, it said that the rules are like threads in a classroom fabric. So the classroom is the fabric, and the rules are the threads. And if you take out a thread, the whole thing falls apart. Without rules, your classroom doesn't have a structure, and it will eventually just fall apart into nothing and kind of chaos. Rules create the daily patterns for students, depending on whether they do or do not follow them. So that also gives you your classroom environment. So if you have good rules that are good and the children follow them, your classroom environment is going to be better, it's going to be a positive place, a safe place for students, and most importantly, at the bottom one, it promotes a lot of learning, which is the most important thing you want in your classroom. You want your children to learn. So how to create the rules? So the first thing that I would suggest, and the thing that I read most was, and some of you guys said this too and found it in your reports, was to create rules together as a class. And there are two main reasons for this. This promotes community in your classroom, so all the children get together and come up with rules together, and then they're more likely to follow the rules if they make them themselves. And secondly, creating rules that are simple and understandable. So if the rules are too complicated and use too big of words, then how are the kids supposed to follow them if they don't remember them? And along with that, make sure you have no more than 8 rules. That can get to be too many for the kids to remember. And make sure that they're positive. So instead of saying, don't run in the hallways, it's better to say, walk in the hallways. They're more likely to follow something that's more positive. Also, begin them with an action word to promote them to do the action or to do the rule. And then when you're done with them, post them in the classroom somewhere so the kids can always refer to them. And then if a kid does break the rules, which they're going to, you can always go back to the rules in the classroom and remind them what they all set up together. So here are some examples that you guys probably remember when you guys were in school. Raise your hand to speak, follow directions, be respectful. They're short and simple and easy for the kids to remember. All right, so once you have your rules established, how are you going to keep them going? How are you going to keep the children from following the rules? And 2 ways that I found in research was consequences, so kind of more the negative side, and the positive reinforcements. So when you're giving consequences to children, make sure that you state the consequences before they actually break the rules. So when you are talking about the rules, name the consequences. So when they do break the rules, they knew beforehand what was going to happen. So the students know what is expected of them. And then consistency is key. To consistently discipline your children after they break the rules will help them know that the rules need to be followed. And then on the positive side of things, don't forget to reward your students when they do something good, so they continue doing that good behavior. So some ways that I found in research were parties, stickers, notes home, free time. They can be things that they can actually have, or things like free time, where they aren't actually really physical things, but things that they get in return. So overall, rules are necessary for every classroom. You need to have those to have structure in your classroom and to promote learning. And keep your rules short and sweet. Don't make them too complicated, and make sure that the kids can remember them. And then lastly, to keep your rules in your classroom and keep them followed, consistently discipline and reward behavior. That's all I have for you guys.